work that area, and then other people are something else. But again, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, so then you have to say, okay, hey, let's bring you together. It's not a fault of your own, it's just something you just didn't understand, and now I'm going to explain a little bit more.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing those stories to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. It doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can create an amazing life in sales. And today's guest is no stranger to the journey. I'd like to welcome my new friend, Mr. Mike Straza. Welcome to the show, sir.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
I am excited to have you here, man. I want to jump right in. I want to hear your craziest sales story.
Well, as you know, as we've all been in the world of sales and the years I've been involved in just sales and everything in business, there's so many stories. So one of the ones that it comes across more of a decision-making time on a sales is I had a very large client that did work for, and it was an over $1 million contract, and they wanted to renew it for $2 million. And I said no. The reason being is their time of delivery of the payments was over 90 plus days, and we became the bank for them. So they were very shocked. And some people were like, well, why wouldn't you do this? This doesn't make sense. It's like, I couldn't be the bank and also pay my employees at the same time. So I was like, that would be one of the crazy ones. Like, well, you tell them, hey, you're going to get $2 million. It's guaranteed. Well, it's guaranteed over when? I mean, you don't know when you're going to get it. Plus, you're the bank, you're losing money, you're trying to do everything else possible. So walked away from that situation. And it actually was better for myself and the organization. Actually, we grew even faster and made more money through other sales, other people that we worked with. So it seemed crazy at the time, but at the end, it was something that was very valuable and very great choice.
You know, I really love that story, Mike, and you're the first person I would say that told a story in that frame of reference in terms of like, hey, I had to turn away a huge opportunity because even though on the surface it sounded good or looked good, when you actually run the numbers, it didn't make logical sense,
No.
and I love how you kind of approach the idea of, we got to do what we got to do. But even though we turned that down, which most people would have said we're crazy for, if you look over the big picture, hey, we ended up making more money. We grew faster because we turned down one bad opportunity to go after the ones that were the right fit. And so in your journey, because I know you help a lot of businesses with like growing and scaling, how often do you have to have that conversation with a sales professional and say, listen, man, I know this deal looks sweet, but hear me out.
Right. Yeah, that's the big thing. You look at things, and depending on the salesperson, their personality, who's what the deal is, and what what you're trying to accomplish is like, okay, what is the mission and vision of your organization? And as a salesperson, what are you trying to accomplish? Because finding sales and you get in a rhythm, and you're like, look, my salesperson or I myself sold this much, but then at the end, everyone else that's working for you or how you're doing, like, that's great. We got these sales, but it's killing us. It's not helping us, our bottom line. We're actually losing money because the deal wasn't a good deal. The fine print, there were some things, just the deliverables on both sides wasn't reasonable. So that's where it's always, you have to reset. And that's what I do with companies is like, okay, let's look at the deal itself. And you look at that, you look at professional sports and things like that, where there's these great, amazing deals, but then when you look in the contract and you realize all the stipulations that are in there, it really does, at the end of the day, does not help you. It looks great. You're excited about, oh, this is this company, or you made all this, this bringing all this revenue in. But then at the end of the day, it's like, well, actually we're losing money and it's not helping us long term.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing when you start peeling back the layers, right? And that's why I love this show in particular and getting to chat with guys like yourself, Mike, because a lot of sales professionals will say they know sales. And they do really well in sales. And then all of a sudden they get a bug up their butt because they're mad at the boss or something happens. They change the comp plan again. And I'm going to go and do this myself. And then they have to step into a whole new realm of actually understanding the deal. And I
Yeah.
think too many sales professionals forget, like, there's pieces that layer on besides just what you do in the journey. So Mike, I'd be curious, like, how did you even end up going into the path of consulting and doing what you do now?
Well, I've 20 plus years of either owning or operating other people's businesses. And what I did is you learn a lot. So sometimes, especially when you're looking to try to understand your finances, is like, how do I pay people? How do I continue to grow as a company? How do I support people? Because I look at it as it's not just me, it's everyone else that's counting on me to help them, have a profitable life and be able to provide for their families and stuff like that. So you kind of take on that. And as you learn from getting loans from banks or other institutions, and you're understanding how all that works, you pick up things. And sometimes it seems obvious that, oh, everyone should know this. And then you realize some people know different parts of a business, or from sales to operations to finances, but they don't know it all. So over the years, I've learned all the different areas, so that I can see and help people navigate certain parts of it and say, okay, you're in sales, you're in operations. Okay, let me explain a little bit how you both work well together or not. And that's where it becomes important to understand the whole picture. And yes, certain people have amazing abilities to sell and to just really work that area, and then other people are something else. But again, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, so then you have to say, okay, hey, let's bring you together. It's not a fault of your own; it's just something you just didn't understand, and now I'm going to explain a little bit more, so we actually can improve on when you're out there selling. Like, I make sure this is in this contract, or I make sure that as I'm doing this is helpful.
Yeah, that's really good. And having the benefit of worked in a similar field over the years, coming in and helping companies restructure and building things up in a new way, it's always interesting to see how far and how fast people can run with almost zero systems at all. Like,
Yeah,
they're just winging it. And you're looking at these
yeah,
guys and they're doing 3, 5, $10 million a year, and you're going, you have no CRM, you have no follow-up process. Like, half the time your guys don't even know what's going on. Like, how the heck do you come into an organization like that and say, okay guys, listen, we know you're successful, but guess what, we're going to completely stop doing all these things the wrong way, and now we're going to do
yeah.
it this way. Like, how do you do that without getting too much pushback?
That's the hard thing, is you always have to look at the organization, the people who are in certain positions, and saying, okay, you're the person that came up with the idea of the business. So then they have a certain personality, and then you have your salespeople you brought in. So you're trying to find out who are the right people for the right positions in the job itself, in the business, and trying to understand their personalities, because everyone has a very different personality. That's why they're there. You have a visionary, you have the person that's like, I'm a numbers person. All I'm going to look is numbers. And then you have the salesperson that has a personality, can get out there and they can sell about anything. There's like, what do you want me to sell? I'll go sell it. How much, what's the number I got to hit? Okay, I'll hit that number. And they do it. And there's no process, and it's just the way they flow. But then over time, in order for not to stress out the business and everyone else in there, is trying to figure out, how do we put these things, implement these things in there. And that's the hard thing, is when you've been growing and everyone's moving fast and it's a high energy pace thing, and all of a sudden one day you're like, oh my gosh, something's not right. We're still having problems. We're losing salespeople. We're losing people. And then that's when I come in and say, okay, let's relook at this and make those adjustments and explain that why are we trying to do this? Because I know this appears as working well. You're getting paid. Everyone seems happy, but there's a strain on the business to where it's something that's going to break. And then when it breaks, then now you're have a bigger problem. And what I do is try to help a little bit conflict resolution of, like, so people aren't like fighting with each other, because they're all very successful in their own way. But again, it's like, you have to understand the other person's success and what they measure success as, and trying to get them all somewhat going the same direction. So everyone benefits at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that. I always tell teams, like, hey man, we all got to row the boat in the same direction. And that's even if you're rowing somewhat in the same direction, when you synchronize everybody and you're all in, like, you ever watch those college rowers?
Yeah.
I forget,
Yeah.
college crew, man,
Yeah.
those dudes float across the water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's because they're all rowing in sync. And it's the same thing in these situations. And that's what I love about what we get to do, Mike, because I know we have a very similar, job in the big picture, is like coming in and working with these folks and helping them pull their head back from the mess just far enough to see the message in there of like, hey, here's what we can fix and here's how it's going to ultimately take this thing to the next level. And what I'd be interested to know about, because when I'm talking to a business owner or a sales professional, a big topic is always, hey, how do we get more leads so that we can sell more of our stuff? How do we go get more leads? And one thing I'm often looking at is, does it make sense to go spend more on marketing, or should we just go acquire the competition and take over the market? And so I'd be curious your opinion on that thought process. And then from there, kind of like what it looks like to buy or sell a business, if that's something they might be considering, looking at.
Yeah, a lot. So several of those things that you mentioned there is, I've been in those different situations with people and helping them walk through that. It's just, that's always a tough one. It's like, okay, how much is marketing? What does that do? What is the intentions of marketing? What are you trying to do? Are you selling a widget? Are you doing, what is it that your business does that provides something to somebody, and how do you get more of that? And that's always the thing, is understanding what your market is and understanding why what you're trying to attain. What is your market share too? And then the other thing is, so you look at that, but then you look at, okay, I've talked to several people and helped them acquire other businesses. So they're like, okay, this is the same market, same group. And as time goes on, as you're in the industry, you learn about, oh, someone's just like me or similar, and it's a product that we would easily be able to integrate with us, or a process that we do, it's going to integrate. So you kind of start doing that, slowly get to know them, starting to know people. You might know their salespeople. You might know somebody that you can, because people talk, you're going to run into each other sooner or later, depending on the size of your company. And then you just kind of look, and then you start having those conversations about, where are they at? Where, finding out from their own vendors. Sometimes vendors talk. They're like, hey, they're doing okay, but they're not doing great. The person's the owner's interested in selling. So you start having those conversations about what that is. And I think as a buyer, you're like, okay, here are the things I want to accomplish. I want this type of company, this type of size of revenue, this reach. And if I acquire it, what will it take? How much capital will it take to do it? What will then from there, how much will that gain me? Because what you want to make sure you're not just buying something and like, well, that didn't really help me much, or they're so inefficient. Do I keep everybody? Do I, so there's so many things from there. The seller is, trying to decide, who do I want to give this to? I want to give this to somebody that's not my competition. And they have to go through their list of things that they feel is important to them. And then they have to come up with an evaluation and all those things. So there's so many things that the buyer and seller is, one's looking at what are the markers that I need to say, this is a company I want to buy. And the seller is saying, what are the things I want to get out of this so I can leave whole and, live a nice life of doing something else. So that's the start.
It's such a crazy dynamic, man. That's what I love about business as a whole. There's like no right or wrong way to do it. I mean, there's a few wrong ways to do it, but like sometimes it looks really wrong at first. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, that guy was a genius. And you go, now I got to rethink everything, because I had a mentor that always said, methods are many, principles are few. Methods may vary, but principles ever do. And it always just comes back to the foundation of like, hey, how do you build a good business, right? You have a good product, you do a good job for your customers, and you follow up and you call the damn leads. Like that's kind of the foundation of building something strong. But from there, though, a lot of people think, okay, well, I'm just going to go and buy a business that's doing, $300, $400, $1 million a year. And it's just going to make me passive income and I'm not going to have to do anything. How real and true is that statement?
Definitely people think that they just look at and say, okay, what is the value of this company? What is their market share? And I'm just going to buy it. And it's like, you don't know what, and if you don't do your due diligence and do all the things that all the steps you have to do, from getting legal people involved and understand the marketing, because what you want to do is find something that's not necessarily doing the best. You want to find something you can improve. If you go in there, it's like, oh, it should do it all itself. It's like, well, that's probably not the place you want to necessarily go and say, well, I just want to buy this company because it looks like it's doing everything great and perfect. I don't have to think about it. It's like, you want to see what can you do to bump that up, the sales, bump up the reach, because if it's already at its ceiling, what are you getting? You're getting something. Maybe you're transferring money and all the assets. You're buying this thing, and now you have debt. Unless everyone just has cash laying around, and now you have to say how long is it going to take to pay that off, or when do I want my return to happen? And if they're at the ceiling of what they have, then you really are not going to get anything out of it. And you could lose money because the market shifts. The product they have is great now, but in a couple of years, it's not the hot item. It's not the, R&D has been done and they haven't done any new stuff. So you see that with so many major companies, like they're struggling because how do they make value out of a thing that their idea was great, 20 years ago, but now they're starting to figure out how do I continue to stay at the top level when we really have nothing new that we're providing. So you have to always be very careful about what you're looking to buy, and knowing, and it's kind of like picking things in the stock market. Do your research. Don't just like, oh, it's a hot thing, it's going up, I'm just going to do it. It's like, do no research. Then if it fails, it's like, oh, that's why it failed, because you didn't really look into it and determine what was important to you.
Yeah, I was a part of a group that got really. There's a whole bunch of people that bought into like cookie shops and little small stuff over a couple of years ago, and like it all seemed really popular and everything was growing, and then it didn't seem like they went very far. And now if you look, like most of those really big fat cookies with 3,000 calories a piece, like, they're good, but you buy one and you eat half, and then you're like, I can't. Like I'm people are becoming more health conscious, and that's the hardest part, I think, is like it might look good, but the trend changes and you never know what's going to happen in society. And this is why you have to always be on your toes and always be learning and always be focusing on how am I improving what I've got right now? Because that's the other thing I think a lot of people do as business owners and entrepreneurs. And I'd be curious if you see this, but things are going, I'm going to say okay in their business, but they're going to say it's going great, but I'm going to say okay. Right. And they're like, well, I'm going to go, millionaires have 7 streams of income. So I'm going to go and start this thing, and then I'm going to do this thing over here. And what is your opinion? Does it make more sense to just put more time, energy, and effort into what you have and grow it? Or does it make sense to go and buy and start other businesses? Like, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, a lot of that, it all depends on the person. It's like, if you're truly, your business is doing amazing, you hire somebody. If you're the person who came up with this idea, and now you bring in another CEO and you're on the board, and you're like, okay, I'm having this person run my business for me. I can now diversify and start acquiring other business, either like mine or something completely different, and start working in that, where your time is now put to the attention of the other companies that you're looking to do. But if you cannot do both. You're not going to be able to say, you're going to have a trusted person say, I need to run my original company and I'm going to oversee it, but day-to-day stuff I'm not going to be involved in. And that's fine. But again, you have to make sure, are you ready for that? Are you ready to let it run? You have a whole nother group of people, C-level people that are running your business for you. You come in, you're chair of the board, and you're just listening to everything, and you're just doing things. You're still involved, but you're not involved. So the thing is, I've seen multiple companies where they diversify, they keep on acquiring because they're trying to get more money. It's like, well, this one's kind of not doing well, so if I buy this, it's to hopefully help with this company. It's like, you don't want to be stealing from one to the other. And I've seen that so many times, and it seems obvious to us, but at times people are like, oh yeah, I got all these different companies and I'm diversified. But yeah, it's like, could they all stand alone on their own? If they can't, and they're one siphoning more money off, it's taking more of your time, your energy, and your money. It doesn't make sense. It looks great. You look amazing. Like, look at my portfolio. I have all these things. And it's like, but most of them are not doing well. One company's doing great and supporting everybody else, but it's not ultimately going to make your business grow. So you have to be very careful about what you're trying to attain. And sometimes business owners, especially if they started something and they're very successful, they think they can, well, I'm just going to do a couple more, which is possible. But sometimes you're at the right time, right place for this current thing that you came up with, and you need to decide, is that good enough? Or sometimes you're like, I want more, and it's almost addictive. You get addicted to that type of thing.
It's definitely addictive, and I think what happens, though, truthfully, in my opinion, is those guys forget the hustle that they had when they started 20 years ago. Yeah. Like, it ain't the same. And I've seen this a lot, even in my own journey, transparently, but like with a lot of guys that I've seen that have built something very successful and like, I'm just going to go do it again. And then the second one is not quite as fast growing and they can't quite figure out why. And it's just like, hey man, 20 years ago, you were making 200-300 phone calls a day and you were, out on the streets shaking hands and kissing babies. And so
Yeah.
it's so interesting how things shift. And it's, again, why it's so important to get the right people in your corner and have
Yeah.
insight from people that understand kind of what are the trends and what are things that are going on. And I know one of the things that you do is you kind of, you work from a fractional angle. And I'm always curious how this like applies, because I think so many business owners think, hey, I have to have someone full time and I can't afford to hire somebody, full time, and fractional options do exist. And so what does that actually look like? How does a fractional anything sweet work in a company?
Yeah. Well, a lot of that is, so sometimes it's like they don't have that position. Maybe they're a smaller company. They don't have a CFO, COO, or sometimes they're in transition period. They're like, we're looking for a different one, or it just didn't work out. So you come in, or you come in side by next to the person who's there. And it's because they're so overwhelmed by so much stuff. They need someone that thinks like them, but they need that extra help to get them to, to push them to the next spot, because you get in day-to-day things and you're like, yeah, I'll get to that. And then all of a sudden months, years go by and like, you never got to that. And we're really needing these processes, these financial things done, or we want to grow, we want to expand our company, and we want a whole nother line. But you just don't have the time to really focus on it. So if you're having someone like myself, I can come in and say, okay, I understand your organization. I understand what you're trying to accomplish. Let me build this for you, help you, go alongside you. I'm your advisor. I'm pushing through it. I'm finding things that need to be adjusted. So then you can go to the next level that you want to do that. And that's the thing you have to always look at is my fractional time. You're not paying me full time. You're not paying me benefits. You're paying me for that exact moment in time that you're saying, I need you for X amount. This is our project. We just don't have the capacity to do it. And sometimes you can try to get someone internally, but you have to have that right person to be able to understand the bigger picture. And for me, it's just like, I am looking at what's the big picture and how can I make you successful? I have nothing other than that I'm trying to accomplish. I'm not trying to make a position move. I'm not trying to do something outside of that. So I think that's where people embrace that idea, is having that person that can say, okay, you've been through this, you've seen these things, you can evaluate what's going on in my team and also tell me, are these the right people? Do I need to find someone else? Do I need to train? And that's something I always tell people. It's like, I'm not here to get rid of you. I'm not here to get you fired. I'm looking to see how can you improve, and are there things that would help you, more tools, more things that would help you to be successful, so then you can go and be, help the company grow or be in a better spot in the company in the future, maybe be the owner of it or something like that. But that's where it is trying to say, I'm here to help you. I'm not trying to replace you. Yeah,
that's a great way to look at it. I guess I've always seen it explained a couple different ways, but I really like the way that you kind of broke that down and differentiated the, we're here as a service to support, not just to replace. And so, right. Man, we could probably sit here and nerd out on this conversation for several hours, but I want to be respectful of your time. I know how valuable it is. How do we come find you, follow you, check out more of your content, and learn what you do some more?
Yeah, so of course I have my website, Consult Straza, or strazaconsulting.com. You can go there, and I post a lot of stuff and some things working with clients, and just kind of like I have a blog on there that kind of just tells you some of the stories, some of the stuff we talked about today, some of the things that have happened, some things to look for, what to do. And also LinkedIn is another way to reach out to me. You can follow me on there, or you can reach out to me that way. Those are the two best ways to find me. And yeah, I'm available all the time. So awesome. It's very easy to find me.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Listen, if you guys enjoyed the show, make sure you go follow Mike, check out his content, share this episode on social media. Maybe you know somebody who kind of sucks at sales and they need this. Send it their way. Tell them you heard it and you were thinking of them. You don't have to tell them they suck at sales. Like, you don't have to do that. But just say, hey, I heard this episode. I liked it. I think you might get some value out of it. Send it their way. Leave us a review, subscribe, check out all the other episodes. You guys know what it is. We got tons of great content, other amazing guests like Mike. And here's the thing. If you want to be a guest, if you want to be on the show and share your story, head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. We'll get you booked in. We'd love to have you on here. There's so many amazing stories out there, just like Mike's. And while you're there, grab a hat, maybe a sweatshirt, some keychains, some swag. You know what to do next. Pick up the phone, call the damn leads. We'll see you guys next time.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.